there on the internet, and welcome back for our last session of the day of the first day of Sydney Summit 2019. My name's Gabe Hollenby, and as you've probably already seen the rest of the people on the stage during the day, but if you're just tuning in, let's all introduce ourselves really quickly.
I'm Chris Howard. I'm a Solutions Architect Manager for the New South Wales Territory team here in Sydney.
And I'm Shane Baldacchino. I'm King of the World. Actually, I'm a Solution Architect based in Melbourne, Australia.
I'll see you that, and I'll raise you. I'm Aileen Gemma-Smith. I am an AWS community hero, and that is why I get to wear this. But I am also the CEO of Visualytics Technology.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you. So what we thought we would do here at the end of the day is just recap some of our favorite things that we saw throughout the day. We'll talk about some neat things we heard during this morning's keynote, some highlights from our coverage up here at the desk today. Maybe we'll mention some things we saw on the floor that we thought were neat. And if any of you have any questions, please don't be shy. Drop them in the chat. We've got moderators who can pass them up to us. And we'll also tell you about some of the stuff coming up tomorrow to keep you interested. So, what did everybody see today that they thought was neat?
I started off this morning. I don't know if anyone else felt that there was someone chopping onions in the keynote because it was really emotional. We started off the day with, Dr. Nguyen with this great energy, but then there's all these kids who, cerebral palsy and are moving these with their brains, and it was just a very nice, warm, got very dusty in there for a moment.
It was moving.
It was moving. It really was moving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For people who didn't catch the keynote, can you just quickly recap what was it that they were talking about, and how did AWS fit into that?
So we were talking about, in that particular case, they were talking about helping individuals who, for example, there was a little 3-year-old girl who her parents didn't, they don't have evidence of her having cognition. Okay. And so they built this great game where she was controlling a video game with her mind, and they could see her reacting to it, and when she would crash the thing and she'd react, and it was like they had proof.
Yeah.
It was just stories like that about how technology can make our lives better, about how, we don't have to fear that the robots are going to replace us. They're about collaborating, and how many new jobs and what benefit there is going to be to the economy. What else did you guys pick up on?
Well, actually, just to piggyback on that, I love the fact that they brought in the story about how Amazon is supporting students. And they've invested over $50 million towards scholarships for university students, and thinking about the opportunities and things that you have to offer students with programs like AWS Educate. So thinking about the next generation of engineers and how to support the future engineers. I mean, for me, that's the kind of stuff that gives you chills, because it's not just tech for tech's sake.
Exactly.
But here's how we're building together.
They're not science experiments.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
There's
right.
an actual, commercial element here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I saw a great tweet that was saying, that they really appreciated how the keynote was about people.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to dive deep into tech over the next 2 days. Don't worry about that.
Absolutely.
That's coming. But for the keynote to really just focus on how we're bringing technology and people together was really nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Did anyone get an opportunity to walk around the expo floor here?
Yeah.
A little bit. Yep.
I did. The thing that I thought, 2 notes for me, for those of you who can't be here but who are interested in knowing beyond this backdrop and what you can see on the camera, what's out here that is interesting. There's a Formula One car.
You stole my thunder there, Gabe.
Take it away, Shane. What was so cool about the Formula One car?
Well,
It's a Formula One car.
there is a 2018 McLaren F1 car parked on the expo floor here. And for the motorsport aficionados out there, how cool is that? I've never been to a tech event before where there is an F1 car parked in the expo floor that you can, relatively get pretty up close to.
Yeah, I mean, and the energy of the floor is actually amazing, because you've got so many different kinds of things, right? So it's not, so you've got this for F1, you've got smart cities, you've got all sorts of different vendors from different kinds of things, what's the future of retail and such. So no matter what you're looking for, there's something that's here. And just the energy on the floor, and then the folks kind of talking to one another, not to mention, there's some pretty cool swag. So definitely make time, walk the floor, chat with folks. And then we've got great things like Dev Central, so you can actually dive in and start working with folks. And learn more and do more.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I got a pair of socks. Like, I've got so many T-shirts everywhere. How good are socks?
Socks are great.
I think it's the mark of a great conference when the hallway track is as entertaining as it's been here. Just the people. I've seen so many people from the Australian tech industry today. Had lots of great conversations. We have the startup area behind us. We had lots of startup conversations happening. Really exciting.
Speaking of socks, I saw you knitting a pair of socks off camera.
I was knitting over there. That's how I de-stress. Yep. I've knitted a mitten with a QR code on it.
I doubt we can probably.
I don't know if it'll work on the live stream.
It
works.
This
was prototyping and iterating to get that sucker to work, and it works.
I can respect
awesome.
how difficult that
it was
must
a
be.
second prize in the Sydney Royal Easter Show.
Somebody might be able to scan that right now with their phones and see where it points. Make your own set of mittens.
It points to the mittens, so they're self-replicating. See? Think big.
Big.
Oh,
Think
okay,
big.
so, day one's complete now.
Yep.
We've got day 2, day 3 coming up.
Yes.
What are we all excited about?
I'm excited about something the session that Liam and I are going to be doing on 2 days from now.
Yep.
On Thursday, we're going to be talking about graph databases and the power that you can get from a graph database, what they're good for, what they're not good
The
for.
Net Team Talk. She was spruiking
Yes.
this earlier today.
Have you made your sacrifice to the demo gods?
We should organize that.
A chicken.
We
Yeah,
do have a
absolutely.
tribute to the demo gods, which a little surprise in the costuming department that you'll just have to wait till Thursday to catch.
Oh. Well, and then speaking of race cars, I'm going to be going over to the Deep Racer tomorrow. We've got the Deep Racer League happening here, and we're going to take the roaming camera over there and show some of the people who are competing to get the fastest time with the little autonomous cars.
Yeah,
that
so
are
for
on the
those of you
track.
who are watching who don't know what a deep racer is, it is a autonomous car that you can order a physical one of in order to learn and race it yourself. But there's also a virtual deep racer league where you can go and just learn about machine learning and reinforcement learning and teaching a virtual race car how to race using machine learning online. That's live today, actually. So you can learn more about that at aws.amazon.com/deepracer.
And I believe, Pete and I covered this in AWS Tech Chat podcast. The best time, I think, around the world at the moment is about 7 seconds in Seoul, I'm led to believe.
Yes, there was a new world
Good
record set.
grief.
So-
Is the racetrack the same, though? That would be the question I'd ask.
What do
It
you mean?
has to be exactly the same.
I guess it
it's
does,
a
yeah.
standard. Yeah,
Yep.
it's a standard.
Yep. And I think it's 18 meters in total length.
I saw that that 7-second lap. I was pretty impressed, and the timing is obviously down to hundredths of a second. That might be a pretty hard time to beat.
Yeah, we'll see. I know that that's approaching some of the best times that internal AWS employees have been able to achieve so far. So, stiff competition.
But what can you do, Gabe?
I haven't played with Deep Racer yet, but so not better than that.
Frank was on today previewing the build track tomorrow, but we have other tracks as well. The Innovate track has a lot of really interesting talks. I know Injay, for example, from my team is doing a really cool talk on using Sumerian. And,
Amazon Sumerian, our
yes,
VR
exactly.
and AR product.
And there's some really great database talks happening in the analytics and the migrate tracks. Lots of cool
There's
stuff.
Alexa stuff on tomorrow.
And we're going to have Ozzy on, I think, on Thursday. I'm talking with
Yes.
her, but there's another Alexa workshop happening. We might even try some games and stuff on stage. We'll see how we go with that.
Oh, you forgot the security track.
Oh,
a
this
big shout out to the security
of
folks
course.
out there.
Shout out to the security track.
Phil Rodriguez. There we go.
Let's jumping on that for just another second. In case anybody's watching who does have a security mindset, you hopefully know, but if you don't, we have a special security-focused conference coming up called Reinforce in Boston later this year.
Yes.
So
First time ever. I
Yeah,
believe.
the first
Yeah.
security-focused AWS conference, AWS Reinforce. So you can look more about that online if you're interested.
There are going to be a lot of great talks in that track as well. I've seen some of them and heard about them.
Yeah, not my talk. I'm talking tomorrow. So tomorrow
Yes, pro
I'll
tips
be giving
for-
a talk. Pro tips for builders on AWS.
To end the day.
To end the day. So I'll be teaching people about some command line tips for working with the AWS CLI and giving a shout out to some new services that we have, like the AWS Toolkit plugins for Visual Studio Code, and also one of our new services, relatively new, Amazon CloudWatch Logs Insights for doing analytics and aggregation on your log data that you have in CloudWatch. It's pretty neat.
Loving the VS Code integration.
Yes.
It's I wouldn't say about time, but absolutely 2 bags of awesomeness. It is really cool.
I agree. I was happy to see us release that, and I'm happy that it's open source too. And if we haven't already, I'm sure we'll get some great community contributions as well. Maybe the last thing we should say, speaking of community, before we wrap up,
Community.
you want to talk about Community Day, Eileen?
Community Day is August 30th. It is going to be at the Melbourne Conference and Exhibition Center, and we are proud and honored that Jeff Barr will be keynoting for us. Jeff is our Chief Evangelist and VP of AWS, so we would love for you to be there. The QR code on the other side will get you
That's gonna
to
be a little bit tight.
pre-register, so definitely check it out.
Hope you got the
And
5K monitor there that
Yeah.
you can
We will get into
We'll
it.
share
don't
it. We'll
worry.
zoom in.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
We'll put it in the Twitch chat
Yeah,
for those of
yeah.
you who don't have
Brilliant.
a 5K monitor.
And
phone.
so we're all
So I think
back
that's
here
it.
bright and early tomorrow.
Yeah, join us back here
Yeah.
tomorrow early in the morning.
Look forward to seeing everyone.
We'll see you then. Thanks so much.
All right.
Have a great
Thanks,
night, everyone.
everybody.
Bye for now.
Woo!